Hey, happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. All right, so is the second time going to be a charm? We're going to find out. So far, I'm not seeing any drop frames. Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, we should be all right. Anywho, yes, so I had to start the stream again after a few minutes. I got a bunch of drop frames. Looked like about 2 minutes out of like the first 6. So fingers crossed, see what happens on this one. I changed like the CPU usage, so maybe that'll help me out a little bit. Anywho, this is episode 252. I almost said 352. No, it's episode 252 of The Daily Dope. It is Monday, February 25th, 2019. We are streaming live. I am going to be reviewing Millennium Blades from Level 99 Games. That's coming up in just a little bit. This is the core game. This is a big box. There's a lot of goodies in here. So I am going to do a little bit of a how to play and review that in just a bit. Do want to point out, since this is a live stream, and granted, I know a lot of people watch after the fact, but I know Ghost World will be popping in just a second because he was already watching for the first part of the stream that had to toss out. Anywho, but there is chat available. If you'd like to say hello, feel free. If you have a question, fire away, or maybe there's something about Millennium Blades that you want me to go into a little more detail about, by all means, chime on in and I will respond. Yeah, there you go. Ghost is back. So, see, I gave Ghost a break to go get coffee. There you have it. No drop frames right now. So, fingers crossed on this. Anywho, if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel, of which there are over 500 of them. If you dig any of those, by all means, please subscribe. Don't forget to ring that little bell, because not only will that notify you when there's a new video available, it will also point out and notify you when the stream goes live. So there you go. Make sure you try to have your coffee sitting there all ready to go. It's funny how Ghost World mentioned they were going to go grab some coffee. I am finishing up my cardiovascular rehab on Wednesday. It'll be my last session. And one of the nurses who's there, usually, sometimes twice a week, she's always there on Wednesdays. Sometimes she's there on Mondays too. She gets a kick out of the stories I tell about just like ghosts and weird things. And because I listen to all different podcasts about kind of unusual stuff. And never fail. I come in, get ready to start doing my rehab, and she's like, all right, don't start the story yet. It's story time. I got to go get coffee. So, it's kind of funny. So, there you have it. All right, so let's jump on into the news. I just have a little bit of news today, but I know there are some folks out there who do not care for the tabletop gaming news. Sorry if you are one of those people. Look at the show notes. You can skip right ahead. I will have time codes there. You can skip past the news. I only have really 3 news pieces today. Anyway, first off, I don't talk a lot about family games, but I gotta admit, there's a cute looking one that's on the horizon. It's coming from Kids Table Board Gaming, which I am not familiar with, but I've got a little bit of dope on bugs on rugs. So many bugs crawling around on beautiful rugs. Ants like to travel in big colonies. Fireflies love the bright rug colors. Spiders are always on the lookout for juicy flies. 9 different bugs in all, and your job is to make sure all of them get what they want. which I don't think that would be a very easy job. Players take turns drafting bugs from the floor into their hand to make different sets. Each bug type scores differently at the end of the game. At the end of each round, there will be one leftover bug. There can be only one. It crawls onto the wall where its unique power activates to change things up. At the end of the game, players reveal their bug collections, and we see who has made the most valuable hand of creepy crawlers. Simple rules, short play time, and lots of different ways to create cool scoring combos make this a perfect casual filler for players of all types. Yeah, Russ is popping in. Did his stream drop? Yeah, Russ, we had a bunch of dropped frames, so I just restarted the show because otherwise it would render all choppy. I'd be in the middle of one sentence and it would pick up at the end of a second sentence. So I figured sometimes when I first start the stream, I get dropped frames. So I figured, yeah, I will restart the stream. So you haven't missed a whole lot there, Russ. Hey, thanks for joining me, by the way. Anyway, Bugs on Rugs is for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 20 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $11.99 when it arrives on May 1st. Just in time for the real bugs to start arriving, yes. This looks like some pretty fun art. I like the artwork. I gotta admit, that's kind of cute with the little ladybug on the cover. So Ghost is saying, yes, this looks like a Bugs Life, the expanded universe, without having to pay any copyright or any licensing fees. Moving right along, my next news piece. There's an interesting nature-related game that's arriving this summer. It's from Floodgate Games, and it really does look as if it has a pretty unique table presence. I have the dope on Bossk. Don't know where that name comes from. Over the course of a year, players control a species of tree thriving in the beautiful terrain of a national park. A nameless national park, I guess. In the spring, players carefully grow their trees, scoring as hikers enjoy traveling the trails in summer. When autumn comes, leaves fall in the ever-changing direction of the wind, covering the ground and other players' leaves. Points are awarded in winter for the most coverage of each region in the park. Control the grove and be victorious in Bossk. During the spring in Bossk, players will take turns carefully planting trees of various sizes to gain influence in the grove that will determine the points that are scored in summer. When autumn comes, the tree's leaves fall in the rotating direction of the wind to cover the ground. Points are scored in the winter for the player with the most leaves in each region in the grove. Bossk is for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. It will carry an MSRP of $45 when it arrives on July 10th. I wish I had some... Russ says I had the black screen of death. I don't know. Ghost seems to be okay. We're showing no drop frames. Looks like we should be okay. Yes, actually, this does look very interesting. I can't tell you how the game plays. I have no clue. I like the art style, and I really, like I mentioned to start off with, this really does seem to have a pretty cool table presence. There were some other photographs that I would have loved to have used, gave you a better look at the game, but they are not from Floodgate Games. It's from people who have like play tested or early review copies, and sorry, I can't share those. Don't know what to tell you. Anyway, let's talk about some RPGs with my final news piece, because earlier today, the next Dungeons & Dragons adventure tome was revealed by Wizards of the Coast, and I've got the dope on Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Dun dun dun. Adventure on the High Seas. Explore the waves above and the fathoms below in these watery adventures for the world's greatest role-playing game. Their words, not mine. Nestled on the coast of the Azure Sea is Saltmarsh, a sleepy fishing village that sits on the precipice of destruction. Smugglers guide their ships to hidden coves, willing to slit the throat of anyone fool enough to cross their path. They're giving it away. Spoiler alert! Cruel Sahuagin, I think that's how those monsters are pronounced, gathered beneath the waves, plotting to sweep away coastal cities. Drowned sailors stir to unnatural life, animated by dark magic, and set forth in search of revenge. Kind of like the fog. The cult of a forbidden god extends its reach outward from a decaying port, hungry for fresh victims and willing recruits. While Saltmarsh slumbers, the evils that seek to plunder it grow stronger. Heroes must arrive. I should say arrive. Arise. Ay, ay, ay. Let's try that again. Heroes must arise to keep the sea lanes safe for all. Ghosts of Saltmarsh combines some of the most popular classic adventures from the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, including the classic U series, plus some of the best nautical adventures from the history of Dungeon magazine. It includes the sinister secret of Saltmarsh, Danger at Dunwater, the final enemy, I believe those three are the U series there, Salvage Operation, Isle of the Abbey, Tamarot's Fate, and the Styles, or Styes, I should say. No L there. The Styes. All adventures have been faithfully adapted to the 5th edition rules of Dungeons & Dragons. Furthermore, this book includes details on the port town of Saltmarsh, as well as plenty of adventure hooks for each chapter. Play through the whole story in a seafaring campaign, leading characters from level 1 through level 12, or Dungeon Masters can easily pull out sections of place in ongoing campaigns in any setting. The appendices also cover mechanics for ship-to-ship combat, new magic items, monsters, and more. The Saltmarsh series consistently ranks as one of the most popular classic D&D adventures, said Mike Merles, franchise creative director of D&D. Yeah, okay, I'll give him that. With its ties to ocean-based adventuring, it was an obvious step to augment it with additional sea-based adventures and a robust set of rules for managing a nautical campaign. Hoist your sails, pull up anchor, and set a course for adventure. The Ghost of Saltmarsh will arrive in stores on May 21st. It will carry an MSRP of $49.95. Do want to mention that you are looking at something a little unusual going on with Ghosts of Saltmarsh. First off, it is going to release everywhere on May 21st, so it's not going to have an exclusive early release for those stores that belong to Wizards' special program. Here's the other thing. Supposedly, this is going to be released digitally. That's a first. So, it is going to be released digitally as well. That is what I've heard. So, I have not confirmed that with my PR rep, who I deal with all the time as far as Dungeons & Dragons stuff. Well, I guess I'll say, yeah, some Hasbro, mainly D&D. But I gotta be honest here. A little disappointed that the latest adventure tome is just going to be kind of reprints of previous adventures, okay? Yes, the U series is well regarded. It's not phenomenal. I think really the claim to fame that the U series has is it was the first edition adventures that were actually published from English authors. So it was actually, if I remember correctly, I think the U series came out in England before it came out in the US. So there's that. So that's, you know, I have seen the original modules. I know the stories for the original series. It's just kind of a little disappointing. I would have thought it would have been something brand new. And, you know, so you got the 3 U series that are being ported over to 5th edition. And then you've got some dungeon adventures that were sea-related that are being added in, and they're ported over too. I don't know. I gotta be honest. Some people love Dungeon Magazine. Other people... I mean, over the years, there were some good adventures in there. But for the most part, they were crap. There was a lot of crap you had to sift through just to find, you know, some pretty usable stuff at the table. So, you know, I don't know. We're going to see it. We'll get to see it, obviously enough, because Wizards does send me their D&D stuff. And I'm not going to pass judgment on it until I see it. But I was a little surprised, although it really does fall into that whole 5th edition is a lot more old school than people think, you know? I mean, come on, we just had a Mega Dungeon as our last release, so kind of interesting. Plus, it being released digitally is kind of interesting too. Wonder if we're going to start seeing maybe Wizards of the Coast kind of rethink not releasing stuff digitally. So Ghost says, I started my D&D gaming when the Dragon and Dungeon magazine were in their last few years. Oh, you kid, you. I started my gaming before there was a Dungeon magazine. The Dragon was around. And I want to say by the time we got into it, the Dragon was a regular magazine. Actually one of my favorite gaming magazines, and it was more kind of news related. Well, I guess maybe not. I guess there were adventures and stuff in it. Shaddus magazine. That is a real blast from the past. I used to go and pick up Shaddus magazine. Now this is when I was older. I was probably early 20s when that first came out. And I would go, and John Zinzer from AEG, Alderac Entertainment Group, was behind, I believe, Shaddus. And I used to call it Shaddus, but I guess it's called Shaddus. That was a good magazine. That was a very solid magazine that just didn't pull any punches. It was not a house organ for anything. So it was pretty good. Pretty cool. All right, so that is it for the news today. So, of course, Ghost knows what's coming. Ghost knows what's coming. Before I start talking about what's going to be on the Daily Dope the rest of the week, got to pull down my Lil Whizbub. Yes, that's right. Lil Whizbub is here to remind you that the Gaming Gang, thus the Daily Dope, is non-profit. So, as opposed to me sitting here with my handout saying, "Ooh, please send me money," may I ask that you consider donating to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, because 100% of all funds raised by Lil Bub's Big Fund is awarded as grant monies to organizations that help animals in need, special needs animals. Those animals that have special needs are awaiting their forever homes, or awaiting adoption. So these animals might have a little hard time getting around. Maybe they're a little older, like me. Maybe they're blind. Maybe they're deaf. Maybe they're like Lil Bob with all these weird genetic things that she's had to deal with. I don't know. But if you do like the Daily Dope, if you like the Gaming Gang, by all means, please consider making a small donation. Even if, if it's $1, $2, whatever, what have you. And if you do, please shoot me an email. My email address is in the bottom corner of the screen. Let me know, and I will definitely give you a shout out on the following show once I get an email from you. All right, so what's coming up the rest of the week? There you go. Ghost is like, yeah, let's hear it for Bub. Ghost says, never heard of Shaddus. I did used to read Knights of the Dinner Table, which actually came out in Shaddus magazine. Yes, back in the Dragon, we had Phil, is it Foglio? I want to say it's Phil Foglio, who now does Girl Genius. Then there was, okay, so I'm trying to remember Phineas Fingers, the Thief. The artwork was pretty crappy, but the stories were pretty funny. So I remember one of my favorite things about Dragon magazine was seeing the latest Phineas Fingers. So yeah, I kind of got a kick out of that. Then again, I was always a Steve Dallas fan when it came to like Bloom County. I sort of like the the wise ass types, because that's pretty much what I have been most of my life. Although I'm way less sarcastic as I've gotten older. Anywho, so tomorrow's going to be a little weird. So I want to point out, if the package from Stronghold Games arrives I am actually going to do an unboxing of the Boldest, which looks pretty cool, and I want to kind of get ahead of the curve as far as the coverage, because I notice I don't get a ton of people watching videos for Stronghold Games, and a lot of times I think part of the reason is I'm pretty late to the party usually with Stronghold titles. So anyway, the Boldest looks really cool. But if that doesn't show up, I am going to review Helios Expanse from Greenbrier Games. This isn't out yet. I'm almost positive it's not out yet. So it's not as if I really have to, oh my gosh, I got to hurry up and race and do a review of Helios Expanse. I will give you a clue. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool game. Then Wargame Wednesday will bring an unboxing of SPQR from GMT Games. This is the deluxe edition. This was out of print for a while. Was out of print for a while. And, okay, so I had to kind of laugh. I got, I'm taking a guess. Maybe it's Dave Arneson's son. Don't know for sure. It doesn't say Dave Arneson Jr. On Twitter, on my Twitter feed, I had said, hey, you know, next Wednesday, you know, I'm going to be unboxing this, taking a look. And they had actually replied and said, yeah, that was one of the first board games that they had ever played and used to get smoked like a cheap cigar. So, I know it's not Dave Arneson because he's no longer with us. So I'm taking a guess maybe it's his son, but I thought that was kind of funny. So that's on Wednesday's show. Then I'm going to finish up the week with a double dip of role-playing game goodness. On Thursday's show, I am going to page through. We're going to take a look at The Witcher RPG. This is from R. Talsorian Games, as well as CD Projekt Red. So that will be on Thursday's show. And then on Friday's show, we're going to take a look at Adventures in Middle-earth, Breland Region Guide. Yes, this is for the 5e open game license, Tolkien Adventures in Middle-earth, from my pals over at Cubicle 7. Sorry, Ghost, it's not going to be a review. It's just going to be a page through. We're going to take a look at it. I have not read it. I have not touched it. In fact, they're not reviews, Ghost. They're like first looks. Can't call it an unboxing. It's not in a box. So, it's just a preview. Yep, 2 back-to-back scores for you. I may not even be the one who does a review for The Witcher. My new correspondent, Sammy Uhas, I believe that's how it's pronounced, is doing a lot of RPG PDFs, doing reviews for me. So she's going to get the Witcher PDF to take a look at tonight, actually. So, anywho, that's what's coming up the rest of the week. And for some reason, I'm going to move off screen for a second because I have like a cat hair just blowing around my nose, and it's like, I gotta get rid of it. It's driving me nuts. I just need to find a napkin of some sort. There we go. All right, hold on. Let me wheel out. There we go. Much, much better. Yeah, I don't want to be sitting here and have people say, hey, were you watching the Daily Dub today? Because, like, McAleer was picking his nose, dude. No, it wasn't. Gotta remember, there's dust and all this other stuff blowing around. Pinky's down here. Pinky's snoozing over here. She hasn't made a peep yet, so let's not wake her. Smokey's upstairs. My sweetie, she's upstairs watching TV. She loves watching TV. Except, you know, not this one that I'm reading stuff off of when I do the news. Anywho, all right, so what do you think? Should we jump into the Millennium Blades How to Play and Review? Yeah, why not? So, Millennium Blades is from Level 99 Games. It's designed by D. Brad Talton Jr., with artwork provided by Fabio Fuentes. Game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 12 and up. I would probably bump that up a little bit, maybe 13 and up in my book. Plays in around 90 minutes to 2 hours. The core game does carry an MSRP of $80. I'm not sure if you can still get it. it did not look like it's easy to track down through online retailers. So there's that. All right, so let's move on over to the other camera. I'm going to get this box out of the way here. I'm going to put my reading specs on. All right, so don't worry. We will zoom in. We will get a closer look at all this stuff. So I just kind of got this up so you can get an idea of the amount of space that you would need on your table for you to be able to play Millennium Blades. So this is the store area, this is the aftermarket area, and then each of the players is also going to have this play mat, which is two-sided. So this is the deck building side, and then we've got the tournament side. And we're going to take closer looks at this, don't worry. So, time to get meta, the card game about playing a card game. Yes, we're going to get very... I should do a tour of my game museum, my office here. Now, actually, I keep joking. I should take a picture of the duct tape studios because there's no joke. There's a lot of duct tape. Can I tell you? I don't do Kickstarters. I don't sit there with, you know, thousands of dollars rolling in. It's not my thing. I got to do it one of these days. I really should. But anywho, yes. So Millennium Blades is supposed to be a world like our own, but it's not our world. And Millennium Blades is a collectible card game that has been like around for 1,000 years. It has had all these different expansions. It's had all these different boosters and premium expansions and all this other stuff. So that's sort of the setup. So each of the players is going to represent a player who is not only looking to win tournaments and that, but they're looking to make money with Millennium Blades, with their card collection. So, funny enough, it's like back in the day when my best friend Elliot Miller and I got into Magic the Gathering when it was still in beta. We made a few bucks on a lot of the cards we had. So, anywho, so the game itself is actually broken up kind of into two phases. One is your deck building phase, and then the other is going to be the tournament phase. And it's kind of funny because looking at it, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, look at all these different cards. There's like over 350 cards. And I apologize, there's some glare coming right here. We won't have to worry about that too much when I finally zoom in. But people are going to take a look at it. They're going to see all these cards. They're going to be like, oh man, you know, I don't play Magic or whatever, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, what have you. Because it's you know, just too complex. No thanks. They're going to see all these cards and going to think, oh man, this game's going to be super complex too. It's not complex at all. Rules run a little bit longer than some people would probably prefer their rule books to go, right? About 20 pages. Yep, 20, well, if we count the index and the FAQ. So 20 pages. But I do want to point out there's a lot of images. Not a ton of examples of play. There are side boxes with different information here. Kind of like, hey, don't forget this, don't forget that. So really, once we get to like page 14, that's pretty much, well, actually page 12. 13, I should say. So you're really looking at the first 13 pages. That's the core game. Then we got different variants. Then we go into character intros because each of the players can have a character if they want. Talking about the different set breakdowns, which you really don't need to get into, but it's just, I gotta admit, it's like this game came across as like, okay, so it's everything but the kitchen sink tossed into this game. And when I show you some of this stuff, you'll understand why I said that. So this is a collectible card game simulator. So it's a CCG simulator card game. Although, I have to be honest, I thought, now this originally came out in 2015. I want to say I thought that Wizards of the Coast owns the copyright on the term CCG as well as collectible card game. I might be wrong, but I thought that's the reason why so many of these other companies have to refer to their games as trading card games. So, rules are fairly well put together. There were a few things that I had to stop, and when we were going through this and playing, was not the rules were not as intuitive as they could have been. It's cool that there is a little FAQ on the back. So, and honestly, these are kind of frequently asked questions too. So, you got the rules there. Anywho, so we're going to kind of tour around. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's going to be out, and then we're going to zoom in so we can get a better look at cards and stuff like that. As I talk about Millennium Blades, there are some things about the game itself that I am not a fan of. Here's numero uno, paper money. I really dislike paper money. Okay, let me be honest. I despise paper money in my games because never fails. You play the game a little bit, the paper money gets all trashed. So, in this, there's like tons and tons of paper money. So what they tell you to do is you're supposed to take 10 of each. So there's a lot of ones, there's a good amount of fives, and then there's some tens. So you're supposed to take 10 of each, 5 facing each way, and then you're supposed to take this sticker and put this sticker around it. Okay, so you got 10, and you got a sticker, and it says 1. So, do you think that this is worth 10, like mega bucks or whatever you want to, the currency? You got 10 of them, right? You got 10 of them with this little sticker around it. No, this is 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, okay, so I understand the whole, yeah, because you're supposed to be, wheeling and dealing, and you're supposed to be these, big hotshot money-making collectible card gamers. Okay, but there is so much wasted paper. We have tokens. We had a punch board of tokens. Got a bunch of these. We got these different sell tokens on them. Personally, I would have liked to have seen. You want to have little cardboard punch board dollars, mega bucks, what have you, 1s, 5s, 10s. By all means, save a whole lot of paper. So yeah, I thought this was. I'm going to be very honest. I mean, I understand where they're coming from and why the designers were like, yeah, that'd be cool, right? Oh yeah, I'm paying all my money to. Yes, I'm buying these cards. Yes, I get it. I just think it's a stupid idea. I really do. I think it's a very stupid idea. It's a lot of wasted paper, and this is just a few. So I'll be very honest. So we were getting ready to play the game, and I'm like, I am not going to sit here wrapping all of these bills. These are just a few. I mean, this is like maybe, I don't know, 10% of the I mean, there's hundreds of these, and you're supposed to take 5, face them one way, 5, face them the other, try to make sure that they're all like kind of straight in the middle. I was like, So I happen to have had Terraforming Mars with me, so I'm like, hang on. So I went and took the cubes out of Terraforming Mars, and we used that as the currency. Like I said, I mean, it's not as bad as some like paper money. I mean, it's still paper. I mean, paper money's paper money. It's crap. To me, it just screams cheap. But I mean, it does look a little cooler than sitting there with like just little 1, 2, 3. But still, I thought that was silly. I thought that was really, really silly to do that. All right, so let's get the money out of the way. Whatever. Done with that. All right, so when you start off setting up the game, there are tons and tons of cards. I already told you, there's 350 cards. Ghost says, hi, you know, it's funny, I was impartial to paper money in games, but recently I've convinced you to see the light. It's, I don't know. When I see a game that uses bingo counters as markers, little bingo counters for markers, to me, I'm like, it's kind of, you know, chintzy. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I mean, it took us like 5 minutes just to do these, maybe 5-10 minutes just to do those, because my nephew Cameron was, oh, I'll help you, and it was like, dude, no, you got to make them straight. You can't just like throw them together and just slap the sticker on. It'll look like crap. So of course it was me, and I was like, you know what? Hang on, I got terraforming Mars outside. Yeah, to me it's just it's a waste of paper. And as somebody who tries to be kind of green, I don't like seeing that. One sheet of punch board with a bunch of little dollars, like say if you ever played Illuminati, you know, you got like the little dollar bills that you cut out. That'd have been great. Little you know, counters of money would work perfectly. All right, so anyway, so you got an aftermarket area, you got a store area. So these areas here are going to be utilized for the deck building aspect of the game. So what you're going to do is, we've got some cards that are just, you know, the standard card pack. So one of the funny things about the game is that it really kind of, you know, it's kind of satirical when it comes to the collectible card game mania. Just like I laugh when people are like, oh, I opened this magic booster and I got like, this card is like selling for $11. It's like, wow. It's like, come on. That, to me, in my opinion, the speculating time for Magic is long over. Anywho, so you're going to start off, every player, there are 6 starter decks. I'm sorry, there's more than 6. There's 6 characters. There are 6 starter decks. For some reason, I was going to say there was 8. So we have 6 starter decks. And you can, you know, kind of, if you want to roll dice to see who's picking first, what have you, that's fine. They all kind of are just the same-ish. Some do things a little bit differently, but just like in Magic, right? We got the different color manas. Well, we've got, you know, like Red Hill Mercenaries. We got the Saints of Whiteholm. We've got Blue Lake Village, Green Dew Bazaar. So, of course, obviously, they're kind of taken off a little bit on the, you know, the Magic themes where, okay, green is normally like you've got elves and nature and kind of along those same lines. So, and then we'll have all the various different cards. We're going to take a look much closer at the cards in a minute. So each of the players are going to be able to select one of their starter decks. So they're going to get a starter deck. Boom. That's what they're going to do. There are characters. There are actually characters that each of the players can get. But what about some super ultra rare holographic first edition limited print mint condition Black Lotus cards? I had a bunch of Mox Pearls back in the day. Never had a Black Lotus. But I used to get, I remember, was it Unlimited? I think it was Unlimited. We got a bunch of boosters, and I ended up with something like 6 or 7 Mox Pearls, which at that time I think they sold for a couple $100. I was like, sweet. So we're going to have these different characters, and each of the characters actually get these friendship cards, which I will explain in just a bit. So when you first start playing the game, when you're first learning how to play Millennium Blades, it's kind of pointed out you probably shouldn't play with the characters because the characters actually have 2 sides to their card. They've got a deck building power, and then they got a tournament power. Personally, I think it's pretty cool. I think these characters are pretty cool. But, like I said, when you're first learning how to play, you can kind of leave this part out. But you do want to take the friendship cards. And you'll have some that are +1, got 2 that are +2, and then you got a +3. These are victory points. Anytime you see a star, the star represents victory points. So that's what that star indicates. So we have different characters. So we got Cardine Collecta, Power Creep, Sure Winner. Yes, I'm a sure winner. And you know they've got these cool powers. I mean, Cardine Collecta starts with a random bronze and silver promo. Those are these cards down here. That these are cooler cards. These are better cards for your deck. All right, so everybody's gonna get they're gonna choose their starting deck. I'll just take the Saints of Whiteholm as my starter deck. Put the rest of these. As far as it's for the game, in my opinion. So Ghost says this game looks really busy. Not a fan of the art on the card backs. Yeah, the art is okay. The art's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the artwork either. So you and I are in the same boat. The game's going to look more complex than it actually is. I think the most difficult thing about this game is actually setting it up and breaking it back down. Because what you end up doing is we've got all these decks. Now you can see the camera's shooting from above, so you're seeing, oh well, there's a deck of cards here. What you don't see is this deck of cards is actually that thick. Because we start off, we've got a single card core pack. You can kind of look at it like, oh, these are like the core cards for like, let's say Magic as an example. So you got your core set, but then we've got all these various different like expansions. So you're going to actually take so many of the expansions, premium packs, and master packs, and put them into this deck, and you're going to shuffle all of these up. So that is kind of the pain in the butt as far as this goes. And then when you're done playing, you probably want to go through that and sort all these back out. And the thing is, there's loads of them. These are bronze. We're not going to look at that. Okay, so we got single card expansion packs. So, okay, so that's one. Here's another. There's another. There's another. There's yet another. So, and then that is the final one. Keeping in mind, I've already got a bunch of them shuffled into here. So, and the funny thing is, I'll show you again in the rules. It actually talks about the different sets, and there is a bit of a method to the madness of the sets of cards. So what you end up doing is you're going to have all these cards for your store. This is considered the store here. This is also the store area here. So each of the players are going to have their starting deck, right? Got my starting deck here. And then each of the players is going to get 6 cards dealt from the store. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are my 6 cards that are dealt from the store. They're now in my collection. So these cards are now my collection here. So then we fill the store up. We put these cards out here, and it's going to show, if you look at these cards, and I'll zoom in, we'll get a better look. You'll see the cards have a numeric value. That's how much they cost. So that's how much they cost in the mega bucks for you to purchase that card. That's how much you're going to spend. And what it essentially is supposed to be is, you're supposed to be like buying boosters. And if anyone watching has played collectible card games and gone out there and bought a ton, I almost said something else. Let's say a ton of booster packs. When you're opening up your boosters, usually there's like 1 or 2 good cards that you could use in that booster. The rest are all commons, and it's like, oh my gosh, another one of these? Ugh. This kind of plays on that, where this is supposed to be you bought a booster pack, right? So you're buying this is supposed to be a booster pack you're buying, and then the card actually represents the good card you got out of that booster pack. It's kind of funny. I kind of laugh. So we're going to set up the store. Then we're going to set up what they call the card fusion zone. So we got bronze promos, we got silver promos, we got gold promos. And what you can do is you can actually trade in cards to get these promos. So these are actually better cards. So right away, the higher cost of the cards means it's more than likely to be a better card. So for an example, a 5 is probably a better card than a 3. That doesn't necessarily always happen, but for the most part, that's usually the case. So we get these promo cards that you'll actually be able to trade in cards from your collection to get promo cards. So it's basically, the way I kind of look at it is that you would sit there and you would actually go and be like, wow, man, I really want that Black Lotus. So if I sell these cards, I'll have enough to get that Black Lotus. Well, that's sort of how this works. So that's the store area. Then we got the aftermarket area. So during the deck building, there's a bunch of stuff that's going to be going on. You can sell cards, and each of the players is going to have sell tokens. So you're going to have these sell tokens. Now, if you decide you're going to trade cards in to get these promos, you have to use one of your sell tokens to do that. Now, if you decide, hey, I'm going to sell a card, you can put it in the aftermarket, and then you put that on, showing that, okay, that's you selling that card. Because there's a limit. So if, let's say, for an example, I traded in, and I got myself a bronze and a silver, I know that'd be a lot of cards I'd have to give up. That would only leave me with 2 sell tokens. So I can only have, out on the aftermarket, I can only have as many cards out there for sale as I have tokens available to me. So, and that goes for any of the players. So it's possible, let's just fill this in a little bit, that we might have some various different cards sitting out here for you to purchase. And the thing is, you cannot buy one of your cards that you've actually put out here. You cannot buy it back. You put a card out there to sell, you're selling it. Okay, so I could sit there and be like, oh, hey, that's 4. Oh, I like that. It's got all these, oh, yeah, darkness. I'll take that. Yeah, cool. So that's the aftermarket area. So you got that cooking during the deck building as well. Then, here's another meta thing about the game. Over the decades with Magic the Gathering, we've seen different combos of different mana colors become super popular because of particular cards that are in the rotation for you to play. So we see, oh, well, you know, suddenly everybody's playing blue-black. Oh, everybody's playing green-red. Well, these little metagame area cards, you'll flip these over, and one of them you actually flip over during the deck building portion of the game, because it's going to tell you, oh, hey, during the tournaments, for example, this says Citizen Boost. So it says, all players perform this effect. You gain 15 ranking points, if you have a face-up Citizen card in your tableau. And I'll explain how this kind of works in a minute. So with this little meta going on right now, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, then I want to try to make sure that I get a Citizen in my deck so that I can play a Citizen and get those bonus points. So this comes out during the actual deck building for the first round. We also reveal another one too. So there will actually be 2 of these going on. So we've got Earth Boost. So we've got type, and then we've got the elements. So when we take a look at the actual cards in a sec, you'll see that we're going to have types, we're going to have elements as well. We may have cards that don't have either. So that's a possibility. So what I'm going to do here, we've kind of looked around at how you're setting stuff up. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to take a little closer look at the cards. And we're going to take a look at the deck building playmat here. So let me zoom in a little bit. All right, there we go. Let me grab a sip too. Oh no, dead air. Dead air. Okay, so on the deck building side of the playmat, it's going to show us different areas. We've got a collection area, which my mug is kind of blocking out. Let me pull this down a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so this is the collection area. We've got a deck area, and we've got a binder. So the collection area is we can take cards that we may not necessarily want anymore, and as long as they have the same element or type on the cards, we can put them in here, and we're basically banking away a collection. The cards will no longer be in play for us, but we will automatically gain victory points. And this will show us, okay, so if I had 2 cards that had the same type or element on it, that I ended up selling the collection or banking the collection, I'd get 2 victory points. 3 would give me 4, 4 would give me 7, and so on up to 21. So we've got that. We got the deck areas. So you're not really creating a big collectible card game deck. You're only going to have 8 single cards. These are considered single cards, just like so. You're allowed a, I love this, a deck box. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a deck protector. Hang on, where's the deck box? There's got to be a deck box here. Oh, maybe it was just the protectors on that one. Oh no, here we go. Monolith Sanctuary. So you can have a deck box. You can have 2 accessories. It shows the accessory there. And then you have 8 cards. So really the whole deal, what you're doing with building your deck, is you're kind of putting cards together, because you're only actually going to get to play 6. You're probably only going to get to play 6 of your 8 cards. So really, it's kind of like, oh, hey, Cardboard Stacker's popping in. Howdy. If I remember, didn't Cardboard Stacker pop in last time when we were doing the unboxing? Good to see you. All right, so anyway, so you're only actually going to get to play 6 of the cards that you end up creating your deck with, plus your deck box and a couple of accessories. So then you've got a binder, and the binder area is where you're going to keep the cards that you're going to utilize. You're going to keep these cards. You're not getting rid of them. You're not selling them off. You're not trading them to anybody. You're not putting them in a collection and taking them out of your available cards. So we also see, taking a look at this, it'll show you, okay, the market area. So this is going to kind of tell you what you can do during the deck building aspect of your turn. Now, I do want to point out, I didn't mention it before, but the deck building phase of the game is timed. So you're going to get a 7-minute period, another 7-minute period, and then a 6-minute period. That may freak some people out, although it shouldn't. But part of it is kind of, the way I kind of presented it was that if you went to a game store and you got into a sealed deck or, you know, booster draft, things like that, you're not going to have tons of time to mess around putting together your deck. You got to be able to put it together, draft your cards, do whatever in a very short period of time. So that's kind of how I looked at this. So you're going to get those, remember I told you, you're going to get those 6 cards that are added on into your starter deck. So you're going to now have 7 minutes for you to decide, do I want to sell some of these cards? Do I want to try to trade some cards with somebody? Do I want to buy cards from the store? Or do I want to try to cash in cards for some of the promos over here? You're going to have a bunch of different stuff that you're trying to do during the deck building phase of the game. So you're going to be buying new cards, trading cards, you're going to be selling cards. You can buy the cards from the aftermarket too. The cards that are being put out there by other people, you're actually able to buy those too. And the value is what's in the star. So just like when you buy the boosters, you're paying this price out of your mega bucks. Well, when you've got the good cards floating around out there, then that's the cost for you to purchase the cards. That's what you get for selling it. So you don't actually have to have anybody sit there and say, oh, well, okay, I'll buy that card. No, you just say, hey, I'm selling this, and you take one of the bucks, one of the stacks of bills to add to your cash. Now, just like if I said, oh, hey, I want to buy that. Let's say that wasn't mine. I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy that. I would just pay that to the bank, and that would actually end up going into my collection of cards. One thing I want to point out, for some reason, some of the gang was having a hard time figuring this one out. They were dumping off all these like really cheap cards. So you can actually buy these cheap cards, and remember, we have the card fusion zone. So you could actually get rid of cards and get a pretty damn good card because somebody decided they were going to sell off all their like little one value cards. So that's something to keep in mind. It's kind of like almost like giving it away to the other players. All right, so what you're going to end up doing is at the end of the first 7 minutes, you're going to get another 6 cards from the store. And remember, the store is all shuffled together. So we've got a single card. This is kind of our core pack, right? One, another one of those. Then we got single card expansion pack. Another single card expansion pack. Core and single. So, something to take a look at on the booster pack side. On the booster pack art side. You're going to see, okay, so this is going to cost you 4. This is going to tell you, okay, so these are the elements that are in this booster pack. So you're probably looking for one of these if you're going to buy it. So you've got the elements along the side here. Now, over here, it's going to say, okay, well, this is the type. Well, they're all constructs. They're all constructs in this expansion pack. And these expansion packs actually have like 9 cards in them, really. The core pack has like everything, so it doesn't show you anything. Right here, we've got the rubber ducky, what Crusaders? Oh, Maid Crusaders. The rubber ducky Maid Crusaders. So we see, okay, so it could have any of these elements here, but right there, it's all magic. It's all mages. Just like this one, Samurai Mowdown. It's going to show you, oh, well, okay, so we've got these different elements here and these different types. So a lot of times okay, so here's another aspect of the game that I think is pretty interesting. Pretty much has its finger on the pulse of how these trading card games work. A lot of times when you first get your cards, you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay. I'm talking like in Magic, right? When we first started playing Magic all those years ago, it was like, oh, hey, so these are the cards I've got. Oh, this is the deck I'm putting together for this out of these cards. You're like, oh, yeah, this deck's pretty good. But then what would happen is you'd get more cards, and you might suddenly, based on some really good cards that you might have picked up, suddenly you're completely changing, like your color selection, everything. You tear your deck apart and start building a new deck based on the new cards you got. This works the same exact way. So, it's, yes, as Ghost said, you can simulate playing and collecting a trading card game without the real commitment. Without the real cost, that's for sure. So now, after the first 7 minutes, you're going to get another 7 minutes. And now you've got 6 new cards. Now you're sitting there looking at the different cards. Remember, you still have to create a deck to use in the tournaments. So, let's just, for the heck of it. What do we have here? Citizen Boost. Okay, and then we have Earth. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, here, one thing I should point out is that if you ever have any questions, your types and your elements and how the rarities of the cards are all right here, as well as the card anatomy, right? So it's telling you, okay, the star rating of it, what set is it from, element, type, and rarity. So, and then it'll tell you, you'll have like some text here that's going to tell you, okay, so what does this card do? And there's a few different effects, there's a few different things with the cards that are on the cards. It's nowhere like, wow, I have to memorize these 25 different things that this card could say. I need to be able to know what's the difference between First Strike and Invincible, or all these different things like from Magic, where it'd be like, okay, so all right, so this has First Strike and Death Touch, so you don't have all that much stuff, and it tells you kind of what a lot of them are: play, flip, top, score, ongoing, next. Right, so after your other 7 minutes, when you could be sitting there buying cards, selling cards, trading cards is kind of cool. When you trade a card with one of the other players, you have to make sure that the cards that you're getting or money has to be equal, right? So if I were like, oh yeah, I'm going to trade this card to somebody, I have to get 9 back in value. So I have to get, say, if for an example, I was getting a 2 in return for it, I would need to get paid 7 megabucks. There is no, oh yeah, well, I'm going to help you out by just, trading you a really good card and taking crap instead. Something else that you want to keep in mind too is, remember I talked about those the friendship cards? You can toss in friendship cards to kind of sweeten the deal on a trade too. So you got 3 +1s, got a couple of +2s, and you got a +3. So you're going to have those as well. No one player can have more than 6 friendship points from another player. So that kind of prevents it from being like, oh yeah, well, I'm really trying to help you out. None of the what's the word I'm looking for? No, sandbagging. I was like, hey, I'm trying to remember. Sandbagging. Okay, so let's just throwing these together real quick here. Deck Protector, Sanctuary. What else we got? There we go. Grab that. None of these, I'm not really looking to see what the hell these things do either, so. Okay, so there's 2 more. I need 2 more. There we go. Yeah. There. Okay, so once the last 6 minutes. So after you get those 6 more cards, you'll have 6 minutes to put everything together. Then you're going to be good to go. Now you're going to move to the tournament phase. But one thing I want to point out, before you leave the deck building phase, you have to make sure that if you have a collection that you're going to get rid of, that you're going to bank away, basically, you need to do it. You need to do it because otherwise you're not going to get an opportunity to score those points. Because you can bank away 1 collection during each of the deck building phases. So you don't want to miss out on these victory points, because victory points are not as easy to come by as you might think. Now, the ranking points aren't tough to get, but the victory points can be rather difficult. All right, so that's the deck building side. So now once everybody's got their decks, everybody's sold off their collections, everybody's made money with the aftermarket and in the store, before you move into the tournament, you're going to collect up all of these cards. Everybody's going to get their sell tokens back, and these are going to be discarded. So these are going to all get discarded because you're going to reseed the store after the tournament. So that means you gotta buy them If you no snoozing, if you snooze, you lose. So there you have it. So you got, these are all going to get discarded. Now there's different ways discards. So during a tournament, if a player has to discard a card, that just goes back to their binder. That's still in their collection. When cards are in the store, when you have cards from the store or from the aftermarket, these get discarded. These go into a store discard. When you trade in cards to get the promos for the card fusion down here, or when you do the collection, those cards are discarded, but they are removed from play. So they are gone. Okay, so once you get to the point where you're going to go on to the tournaments, there is, let me see, where is it floating around? Here we go. You're going to be keeping score on a scoring sheet. So it's going to be pretty easy to know, oh, what you're supposed to be doing. When you first start playing, it's recommended that you do a pre-release, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I'm at a pre-release party playing it, where all you would play is you would play a tournament with your starting deck, right? So you would play the tournament with your Saints. Like, for an example, I've got my Saints of Whiteholm. I would be playing the tournament with that. It's just so you kind of get an idea, how does the tournament work, and then you would move into your deck building round. Now, once you know how to play the game, it's recommended just start off by going into the round 1 collection. Because what'll happen is, if you do a pre-release, then there's no round 3 tournament. But everything's right here, and it's going to show you for the tournaments too, and I'll talk about that in a second, your victory points for that. Okay, so when you move to the tournament, you're going to switch, and you're going to bring out, you're going to flip over your play mat to the tournament side. And you're going to take the cubes in the color of your deck, and you're going to put them on the zeros. So 0, these are the 10s, these are hundreds. And you are going to actually rack up loads and loads of these ranking points. All right, so what happens is, what did I do as far as my deck? Was it this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So what you're going to end up doing is, you're going to have, okay, there's the accessory, there's my deck box. So it's going to tell me that when it says score, it means that's at the end. When we do our scoring at the end of the tournament, I'm able to gain 8. Whenever you see a blue dot, that means those are rank points. So I get 8 rank points for each light card, which is that symbol, that top symbol here. That's a light symbol. So I'll get 8 for each in my tableau. This is the tableau here. These 6 cards here. It's my tableau to a maximum of 30. Sweet. My deck protector says it's a reaction. Prevent a card in your tableau from being flipped by an opponent's effect. Because all you're going to do in this game is you're going to play your cards into the tableau. You're going to play 6 cards. So it goes from left to right. So you're going to go left to right playing the cards. So let's say, okay, so I'm going first, and it's like, oops, wait a second. Gotta get rid of that. I'm not allowed, you can only have one of each card in your deck. Oh, here's a rule that I thought was kind of interesting. And I kind of dig this. In the rule book, it talks about how everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. Everybody does, right? Oh, damn, no, I didn't want to use that card. No, I'm going to replace that with don't. Okay, now, honestly, when you're first learning how to play the game, yes. I mean, I wouldn't bust somebody's chops. It's like, oh, no, I meant to do this. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Once everybody knows how to play, that's it. That's done. If you play the wrong card in the wrong order and it doesn't work out the way you're like, oh, damn it, I put that card specifically in here so it could be my last card, not like my second to last card. Oh, well, sorry. Womp womp. All right, so anyway, so what you're going to do is one player is going to start off, and this is where it's kind of cool. So remember, you can have up to 5 players, right? So if you're thinking, oh yeah, collectible card game, usually it's, you know, one-on-one for the most part. There are, you know, team rules and stuff like that. Well, the whole point of this is this is kind of abstracted, because remember, you're only going to play 6 cards. So it's kind of abstracted. So sometimes you'll be able to clash with other players or all the other players. That's a possibility. But for the most part, what you're trying to do is you're trying to put the cards down in order, so it's going to give you the best effects as well as the most rank points when you're playing it. So let's say that okay, so as an example, I say, okay, I'm going to play Exhaust, Sentry, says ongoing. When I play a citizen card, gain ranking equal to its star. Then I can switch the positions of that card and the card I just played. So that's one thing. Ongoing adjacent cards cannot be flipped by opponent's effects. All right, so, okay. Because if a card gets flipped over, it counts as a card, but nothing on the card is going to be in effect. So if it does something cool, you're like, oh, sweet. If it's flipped over, nothing you can do. It'll be sitting there flipped over, and hopefully you've got a card that'll flip your own cards over, or maybe you got a deck protector that prevents a card in your tableau from being flipped over, which is just one and done on this. So that's a reaction. All right, so for an example, so here I go. Okay, it comes around to me again. So what you get to do in each of your turns is you may play an action if you have an action. If you've got something that provides you with an action, you can play an action, but you have to play a card. You can pass. So basically what you're going to do is the tournament's going to continue until everybody has played all of their cards. All 6 spots are filled. So I go, okay, so I play Peter Ghost Hunter. So it says play, reveal a face-down card in your tableau, gain ranking equal to twice its star rating. Well, I don't have anything there, but I dropped it down because then it's like, oh, he's a citizen right there. So when I play a citizen card, I get ranking equal to his star. Well, okay, bing, I got 2 ranking. And now I get to swap these around like this. And he can't be flipped over. So that's what that would do. Now, when it comes around to me again, I can be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to play the White Egg, Birth of Life. Ongoing, this card is an exact copy of a 6 or lower light card to its immediate left. Boom, right there. Play effects can be used. This effect continues to work during scoring. This effect can't be copied because you'll have some cards that'll mimic other cards and stuff like that. So effectively, all you're going to really do is you're going to go through, you're going to play 6 of your cards. Hopefully you're going to be getting rank. You're going to be scoring the rank points. And of course, as you get better and better cards, you'll actually be getting more and more rank points. They'll have the cards will have much bigger effects on the game too. Now, you can also have some cards which will say right here. So for an example, this is the Sword of Heroes. So it says in action, it says clash with an opponent, the winner gains 10. So the card that is all the way to the right, to the far right, is what's considered your top card. So this, as an example, would be my top card. So as an action, let's say it ended up getting played like this, just for the heck of it. I can say, oh, well, I'm going to play an action. Remember, I can play an action. So I can clash with an opponent, so I choose somebody else. So I'd be looking at, okay, so who's got like a really low number, really low star number in their top card, right? They're furthest to the right card. And I'd say, oh, okay, I'm going to clash with you. So then what happens is we have, this is the top of the store deck. I just grabbed the top of the store deck. So each of the players is going to take one of the cards from the store deck, flip it over, and they're going to add the total of that card to the star total of the card that they've got. So whoever's the highest wins. In case of a tie, then nobody wins. But the funny thing is, this card will actually go into the aftermarket, so it can be bought in the next deck building phase of the game. Which I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. So one thing that's kind of cool to do is to sit there and, like, if you know, try to clash in that, you might pull out some cool cards that you can buy when the next deck building phase comes around. All right, so once everybody's played all the cards, then you're going to move on to the scoring. You're going to look at any of the cards that say anything like score, right? So for an example, it says gain 5 for every card in your tableau with fewer stars than this. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5. That'd be 20, right? So I'd get 20 out of that. Remember, I've got my deck box. I get 8 for every light card. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's a max of 30 on this card. So that would give me another 30. So there's my 80. So everybody tallies up what they've got. And then, depending on the number of players, you're then going to look, and it's in the rule book too, but it's on the score sheet. It's going to say, okay, so for the tournament round 1, this is the first tournament, whoever is the winner, whoever's got the highest number of ranking points is going to get 21 victory points. Next is going to get 15, 12, 9, 6, if you're playing all 5 players. Then everybody gets a prize for being in the tournament. So we get the bronze. You get a bronze promo card. So you're going to get a bronze promo card from not from the card fusion section, but actually from cards you're going to set aside for prizes. So you got bronze promos and you got silver promos that are awarded as prizes for taking part in the tournament. So pretty cool. And like I said, a lot of these promo cards are way more powerful. See, we've got a bunch of 7s, we've got some 6s, and these are just the 7s are the silver, the 6s are the bronze. Now, one thing I do want to point out, sometimes when you're grabbing the just the regular, where is it? Where's the core? There we go. Out of the core here, you'll have good cards that pop up in this core. So don't be afraid to spend the 3 megabucks on core cards, because they can turn out to be really good. You can pull 9s out of there. So that is pretty much what you'll end up doing. So you're going to do your deck building, then you do your tournament, then you do another deck building, then you do your tournament, then you do a 3rd round of deck building, 3rd tournament. At the end of that, now you're going to tally up your victory points. Remember, victory points, not rank points. Rank points only count during the tournaments. So, and then whoever has the most victory points is declared the champion. I do want to point out, there are loads and loads of extra cards in here. So we've got, these are the single card masters. We got a bunch of the different, like I said, there's like 8, 9 cards in each like, you know, expansion. Got a bunch of these. We got a bunch of the single card expansion packs. We've got a bunch of these single card premium packs. Bronze promos, silver promos, gold promos. We've got a bunch of like optional cards too. And you know, it's kind of funny because not only looking at the different names of the boosters and that, some of them kind of riff on Magic, some of them riff on Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm sure they're riffing on other collectible card games that I've never actually played. I've never actually played Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, I remember the year after Magic hit it big, we went to Gen Con and everybody had a collectible card game, and they were awful. awful. They were god awful. I think we played like 7 or 8. There was like Wyvern. I think Wyvern was one of the better ones. So yeah, it was kind of funny how everybody just jumped right on that. But there's all these extras to this, because remember, when you're setting up the store deck, you're going to take the single core pack cards and you're going to add so many expansion packs, so many of the premium packs, the master packs. So you guys can either decide what you want to add in. You can do it completely randomly if you want, but this is just loaded down with various different cards. That said, there are also all these variations. Got different variants. So the character cards I already pointed out before. Turn-based mode. If people don't like that whole, you got 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes, they feel too much pressure, do turn-based. Turn-based is a little different because you're actually doing the card building and the tournament kind of at the same time. You've got a dual mode, so you can play with 2 players. You've got free market mode, draft mode, liquidation mode, pro player cards, venues, dual and exotic locations. You got venue cards. So you can have venue cards that you pull these out. These are where the tournaments are taking place. I mean, like I said, when I started this review off, I talked about how it's almost like a kitchen sink effect that you've got all this stuff added into the game. All right, so like I said, once you've gone through your 3 rounds of deck building and your 3 tournaments, if you're playing just, you've got a little experience, you're not doing the pre-release, then you're going to tally up your victory points. If there's a tie, the person who's got the most victory points from tournaments is the winner. There's some tiebreakers that they're all there too, so pretty cool. All right, so let's see. The bandwagon CCG era. Oh my gosh, Ghost. I'm telling you, it was one of my favorite stories, and then I'll do my summation and I'll give my review score. So we go, and some company had gotten Julie Bell and Boris it's Vallejo, I think is how it's pronounced. Both famous fantasy artists, right? So they were doing, their artwork was being used for this collectible card game that just sucked. It was horrible. But there was a signing session. So everybody got like, you want to try our game? Get free decks. So of course we had all these decks of these collectible card games that were just, within 6 months were gone. But anyway, so Elliot and I are standing to get cards signed by Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell. So Elliot's in front of me. So Elliot hands Boris Vallejo one of the cards from the deck, and he looks at Elliot like stares daggers at Elliot, and he's like, "That is not my art." And Elliot's like, "Oh, geez, I'm sorry about that." So he takes another card and hands it to him. He's like, "That's not mine either." It was like, whoa, ouch. So, but yeah, like I said, didn't help that the game sucked. Anywho. All right, so what do I think of Millennium Blades from Level 99 Games? All right, so I talked about not super keen on the artwork. I like anime, but then I don't like kind of sillier anime. So the artwork's kind of neither here nor there for me. I mean, the artwork is there. It's fine. It's better than just not having, just a blank card, right, with the placeholder on it. But the artwork's just not my style. Hey, Viper Dave's popping in. Howdy, Viper Dave. So the artwork's not my style. I told you already. I hate paper money. I hate paper money in games. Can't stand it. Like I said, not only is it does it scream cheap, it is a waste of paper. So, got that. And I just think this game is great. So, yep. I definitely like how it breaks the game down into two phases, really. So you've got the deck building phase, you've got the tournament phase. If you focus too much on one of the two, you're probably not going to win. You got to kind of balance both. So it's really cool too. Now, I like the timed aspect of it because that way, you know, whoever can figure stuff out the quickest, they're going to have a leg up on everybody, right? Because even though this is supposed to be the tournaments, it's supposed to be a collectible card game tournament, there's no randomness, right? Those cards are in your hand. You're going to play those cards when you want to play those cards. It's not like you got to shuffle them up and you get to take two of them and you get to play them. No. So there's almost a puzzle aspect to it as far as, oh, if I can line these cards up the way I want, I'm going to be able to like mess with my opponents and get a bunch of these ranking points, which of course your other players, your fellow players are looking to do the same thing too. So I like there's a sense of humor to the game. There's probably tons of in-jokes that are way over my head, but then there's a lot of other in-jokes that I saw in the cards. And of course, I have not seen every one of these cards. There's like 350 of them. So we did not play with all of the various different little like expansions, little booster expansions, or the cards that represent various different sets. One knock I have against the game is if you're going to break it down, it takes a little bit of time to set up, and you got to shuffle that big stack of cards. So that's kind of a pain. That's where you need to have one of those like shoe shufflers. Like go play blackjack, right? Put them all in. There you go. Thank you. Of course, none of us have that. But breaking it down is also kind of a pain because now you got to sort through all the different cards and so on and so forth. Definitely recommend sleeve the cards. Cardstock is really nice on these, but I would still sleeve them. One of the gang had said to me, "Hey, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because all of the different sets have different backing on them, so I can tell what card set you've got in your deck that you're playing with." I'm like, so what? This is not a real trading card game. It doesn't matter. You're not going to know exactly what card I've got unless I keep busting it out all the time. Then you're going to go, oh, Jeff's got that one again. Really, really enjoy the sense of humor. I mean, really, when I first was looking at this, I thought, seriously, this is all these cards, all these different little sets, and it's like two completely different phases of the game. They're completely asymmetrical. They don't, they kind of have something to do with each other, but not necessarily. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And after we played it a bunch over the weekend, I got to say, it works really well. I really dig it. I really dig it a lot. Do want to also mention, though, that if you are not into trading card games, if you were not part of any sort of Magic the Gathering craze, the game might have a little less appeal to you because you aren't going to catch the in-jokes. You're probably not going to kind of sit back and be like, oh, wow, I can see how this is kind of an abstraction of a collectible card game, or this aspect of a collectible card game. I see how this is kind of abstracted, where it's like, oh yeah, this is like a blind draft, or sealed deck. People won't catch on to that if you're not into trading card games or collectible card games. So it'll have a little less appeal. I'm not saying you won't enjoy the game. I'm just saying it may not have as much appeal to you as it does those of us who have and do play trading card / collectible card games. So on a scale of 1 to 10, get ready. I give Millennium Blades a 9.1 out of 10, and that takes into account that it does take a while to set up, takes a while to break down. I hate paper money in games, and the art is neither here nor there for me. It's got to be pretty good if I'm giving it a 9.1. Once again, as I mentioned, if you're not in collectible card games, you might take a point or two off of that, but it's still really good for anybody to play. So, do you want to mention, I'm not sure if you can still buy Millennium Blades from an online retailer or game store or anything like that. There still is the Collusion Kickstarter that's going on. It's through this week. It's going to end up this week, but you can get the Collusion expansion. You can get other expansions too, because there's been quite a few expansions for this. It is the final expansion. Collusion is the final expansion for Millennium Blades, but you can get the core game plus the Collusion expansion for, I want to say, I think it's 130. And the core game itself carries an MSRP of $80. So a lot of times I would probably sit there and say, you know, $80, I don't know, a little high. But I gotta tell you, the box is packed with stuff. It is packed with cards and everything else. So anyway, all right. So Ghost says, wow, that's quite a score. It's that good. I enjoyed it that much. But then again, I played Magic way back in the day. I played loads of different collectible card games. The Star Trek collectible card game that was from Decipher, we played a ton of that. Elliot, of course, my best friend, over at voiceofe.com, Elliot Miller, who might be returning to the gang. I'm working on that. He was, well, he still is, a huge Star Trek fan. So, of course, when that came out, it was like, oh, yeah, I'm not buying any Magic anymore. It's all Star Trek. So, all right. Yeah, see, Cardboard Stacker, it's an awesome game. See, I'm not lying. I'm sure I missed some stuff, or I glossed over things, because I didn't want to be like, okay, we're actually playing a game. But I want to give you an idea of how the game plays. So, pretty long show, though. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. As I mentioned on tomorrow's show, going to be up in the air. So either the boldest is going to show up from Stronghold Games, and I will do an unboxing and first look at that, or it won't, because who knows what the post office is doing. If not, I will be reviewing Helios Expanse from my friends over at Greenbrier Games. So either the boldest first look or Helios Expanse review. Find out. And of course, I always post that up on Twitter. So be sure to follow me on Twitter if you don't, because I usually in the morning will post up what's going to be on the show that night, and then in the afternoon I kind of share what news I'm going to have too. All right. Anyway, so when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, speaking of the Gaming Gang, please visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Everybody, thanks for popping in and chat. I always like having a few people in chat. It's always good rather than feeling like and I know there's usually more people watching live than who are in chat. Some people just don't chime in. So, but sometimes without anybody in chat, I feel like I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm just talking to the cat. So, hey, Cardboard Stacker, thanks for popping in. Hey, and Eric Burden, thank you very much. All right, everybody, have a great Monday night. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.